You are tuning in to the You Are Loved podcast, where we hope to bring love and kindness to the world.
Welcome to another You Are Loved podcast. We are all about helping women and men, if they choose to join us on this journey, with helping in three key areas. One is relationships with your faith, family, and friends. Another one is with your career. And then the third is with self-care. And part of that is working out. So we have the opportunity to have Nicholas Snow. He's a career personal trainer and nutrition coach who got his start in 2014. He established his own personal brand, Snow Personal Training, in 2016 and graduated from Florida International University in Miami with a degree in dietetics and nutrition. He is based out of South Beach, Miami, Florida, and also offers online training to his clients around the world. Nick's approach to business is to give away more than he sells. He prides himself on the amount and quality of information, workouts, and edutainment that he continues to offer through his website and social media. He says he got into his business to help people because he was helped. The more he gives away, the more he begins to receive. Welcome, Nick. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you much for having me, Jacqueline. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. So outside of college, where are you from initially? And is it school that brought you to South Florida, my hometown?
Yeah, actually. So, quick little biography on me. I was born in the Philippines, adopted by my parents, and I grew up in Connecticut. And I originally actually went to the University of Connecticut from 2010 to 2014. And my degree back then was still in nutrition. However, school for me at that time was simply too much. So I made the very difficult decision to drop out. And I started to learn how to be a personal trainer, and I became a personal trainer. And then a couple years after that, a friend of mine, my best friend actually, he got a job offer down south in Daytona Beach. He told me, hey, we always joke about it, but we now have a chance. We could move in together. We could leave this state. I'm going down. Let me get situated, and then you can crash with me until you land on your feet. So I saw an opportunity to get out of my hometown, and I didn't really have a lot going for me up there. I wanted to get out. I wanted to kind of spread my wings and take a chance. So I jumped. I didn't look back and landed in Daytona Beach, which is where I originally founded my business. And around 2018 or so, after about 4 years of not being in college and being successful in my business, I felt like it was time for me to return to school to finish what I started, to see whether or not it was personal training or at the time to become a registered dietitian, which one made the most sense for me, where was my calling. So I went to Google, and I just Googled dietetics degree, didactic program, Florida. And I saw two options. Two options popped up. Uh, Tallahassee and Miami. And I thought long and hard about it. And I asked myself, where would I, a brown boy who wears tight shirts and lots of jewelry, fit in most? The Deep South or Miami? So
Miami.
yes, absolutely. So I saw a chance to say, hey, yeah, I moved out of my state, but I've always had like this safety net, this support system. Um, and let's see if I can actually make this work. I want to see if this is where I'm meant to be. So I came down here for school, and I ended up just falling in love with the city. I never expected myself to stay down here, but I am forever grateful and blessed that I landed here and managed to, find firm enough ground to build myself back up to where I was years ago before I went back to school and kind of stepped away from the industry. And I am just really, really thankful that this is my life now.
That's awesome. And so, what was your business when you were staying with your parents? Was it also in personal training or was it something else?
Yeah, so my business has Snow Personal Training has always been online virtual training. At the time, it was simply me doing workouts, right? And then I would attach YouTube videos to the workouts, send them off, and then we do weekly phone calls to kind of check in to see how you were doing. Depending on the person, that would be multiple phone calls a week, just text, sometimes even just email once a month to just kind of check in and give you the next phase of your programming. Nowadays, it's morphed into something a lot deeper than that. It's still very, very similar. I still use the same systems because why fix what's not broke?
Right.
But definitely, I have become a lot more efficient in the system, that's for sure. I have streamlined the process a lot more, as well as gotten plenty of feedback over the last decade or so of doing this to make it a little bit more user friendly.
Okay, that's awesome. And so do you do uh in-house like personal training as well? Like with meeting
Yes.
with individuals, or is it all just still virtual or
Yeah, so right now I'm almost exclusively in person. I have very limited spots for my online training, although I certainly hope to go back into that area in the coming year. I am based out of I'm based out of a building here on South Beach called the Continuum. Have you ever heard of it?
no.
So it is, if you Google South Beach, Miami, it usually, a lot of pictures are at the very end of Miami Beach, and it's just taking a big picture all the way down into the horizon. The continuum is those two buildings that are right in the middle. So if you ever Googled or looked at a video or picture of Miami Beach, I guarantee you you've seen them. It is a luxury residential complex, very, very exclusive. And 99%, actually, no, now 100% of all of my clientele are based out of that one building. That building has a three-story gym, very, very nice. Bottom floor is a
Nice.
spa, locker room. They even do like massages and hair salon, makeup, the whole nine yards. Top floor, or I'm sorry, middle floor and top floor, that's where I am. We have a full gym complete with like literally anything you would see in a normal gym. A cardio room, spinning room, an entire yoga studio where we have a host of different classes. And upstairs, we have an outside turf area, a 72-foot long lap pool, and a jacuzzi. So it's a very complete fitness center. And I'm very, very lucky to have found myself in a position to work just out of that one building.
That's awesome. So when you first started your business, like how did you go about finding customers? What was like the top 3 ways that you did that?
Yeah, so I was very, very lucky. I started the whole online fitness thing and just my own working out around like 2010, 2009 or so at the tail end of my high school career. Back then, a little unknown app, actually two of them, kind of came into existence. One of them you might have heard of, Facebook. The second one, a little less known but still very popular, Instagram. So I started posting just my workouts on Instagram and on Facebook. And in the very beginning, I had a lot of people, not a lot of people, but enough people get annoyed with me because I'm posting every single day, and back then it wasn't normal. That's not what people would do. So but that's how I got started. I just started posting just my own stuff, my own working out, my own both my mistakes, the things that I find funny, things like that. My own journey from the gym. And as time went on, especially going to school, where I started to share stuff that I was learning in school and learning about working out, more and more people just saw me as the fitness guy. Uh, everyone started just asking me for help working out. I got a job at GNC because I was, in nutrition, and it was very, very easy for me. And at the time, my gym and the store that I worked at were literally right next to each other. So I'd see like the same people who would see me in the gym or see me in the store, see me in another place. So it was very easy to kind of build up that reputation of like the go-to fitness guy for nutrition and stuff like that. Eventually, I just asked. I realized that, oh, I could make money doing this. I should look into it. So I just went
Yeah.
around and I asked all the personal trainers in my life, hey, how did you become a personal trainer? Like, I don't know anything about this industry. How do I do it? And they told me. They told me get certified and then just go around and either start your own business, start working in a gym, et cetera, et cetera. And eventually, that led me to where I am right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, have you who's your have you worked with people from all different types of body types and disabilities and different things like that, or do you have like a specific genre that you work at, that you train?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. It is very, very common in most businesses, and especially my industry, to really try to niche down into a general market. I would say, honestly, the only niche that I have is people who care enough to invest into themselves when it comes to their health, in terms to their fitness, in terms of their preventative health care. I never really found myself gravitating towards particularly men or women, never really found myself gravitating towards a specific goal, whether it's build muscle or lose weight. I will say I never attracted athletes. Some athletes, obviously, I have worked with, but like basketball players, football players, soccer players, track, all of that stuff, that those people never really went in my direction, and I never really sought to pursue them either.
Mm.
Um, so to answer your question, not really. I'm very, very privileged to have worked with all sorts of people, everything from kids to older adults, as old as I think was like 87 or 88 or
Oh,
something like that.
wow.
And from all host of like physical ability, some who were coming right out of surgery. Like I had one client who was literally coming from like open heart surgery. Another client who was coming. I mean, I've worked with so many people with like knee surgeries, ankle surgery, shoulder surgeries. I will say, I do have a strong, I don't want to say talent, but I will say I get a strong enjoyment working with people who are coming out of physical surgery, physical therapy, surgery, some sort of injury in the past. There's very few things as rewarding to me as to getting someone to get back to where they used to be before their injury, and ultimately giving them the confidence to know that they'll never have to go through that injury again.
Yeah.
That is definitely something that I have dedicated a large amount of my time to. That is definitely over the years been like a big part of my clientele base, but I would never say I restricted myself just to that demographic. Usually in the gyms that I've worked at, I tended to be the go-to guy for that demographic just because I was the only one with history, experience, and dare I say confidence to work with such a specialized demographic. But nowadays, especially now, certainly some people have injuries and stuff like that, but it's really just working with people who want to maintain and improve their quality of life. I don't really even come across a ton of people that want to lose weight or build muscle. Sure, like 5 pounds here, get a little bit stronger in the arms and the chest press and things like that, but it's very much more as a lifestyle focus and quality of life focus, as opposed to body transformations or stepping on stage or doing like a powerlifting meet or something like that.
Okay. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, one of my renters, he's constantly in the gym, like very fit guy, in his 50s, and then he slipped and fell from throwing some garbage away, actually on some pine straw in the neighborhood and it messed his whole shoulder up. And so now he's been working to get that strong again and is having issues with like range of motion, like with raising his arm up and stuff like that. And he's like, it changed his whole life. So it's and he doesn't work out with a trainer, but I feel like even though he's like great at working out and like super fit and stuff like that, there's trainers would be able to, it's kind of like a physical therapist. You'd be able to get some additional strength or see, they'll be able to see stuff that we can't see ourselves when we're in the gym, working out.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The number one thing when it comes to like working with an injury or working around an injury is realizing that there are going to be parts of you that simply can't keep up with the rest of you. And that's okay. That's normal. What we need to do is we need to find a way to build the part of you that needs a little extra attention back up to where it used to be, as well as taking a look to see what might have caused it in the first place. Yeah, like throwing something, with your shoulder while losing balance. I mean, that's absolutely a recipe for getting hurt. But at the same time, it could have also been simply the straw that broke the camel's back, where there was, let's just say the foundations were a little bit shaky.
Yeah.
And over the years, he's been able to just kind of I guess you could say, barrel his way through life. And I say that
Yeah.
with experience. Trust me, I have had my share of injuries. And looking back, I was like, I should have seen that coming. But you never do until it hits you.
Yeah.
Good news is that nowadays, especially, we know that there is no reason why you can't return to where you were prior. Don't get me wrong. Uh, uh, the reality, of course, is that we can never return. I can't take a 65-year-old and make him feel like a 20-year-old all over
No.
again. Maybe like a 45-year-old, but there's certainly limits to even the magic that I can work. But I can absolutely make that 65-year-old feel so much better than he ever would have thought of growing into that 65-year-old, just because we know so much now about the capacity and ability of the human body. And it's a supreme blessing that I'm able to help other people realize that. So many people look at life and growing old and getting hurt as that's it. It's inevitable. We know better now. There are so many people that continue to defy even the most broad and what's the word? Uh, 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 prophetic estimations when it comes to like what the human body is capable of, and we see it all the time. We see it every day. So definitely getting older and getting hurt is not the end of it, either in the gym or your life.
Yeah. How much do you think like mindset has to do with all that and believing instead of just accepting like where you're at and just and believing like that you can get stronger and that your body will improve and adapt and move forward to where if you have a positive mindset is.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would
I feel like I
say that.
kind of answered it and asked it at the same time.
I
Sorry.
mean, yeah, I
But
mean, no, not at
yeah.
all, not at all. Like, the more they hear it, the more they hear this answer, the better. Honestly, it is incredibly crucial. It is foundational to everything, especially when it comes to focusing on quality of life and getting back onto the field, or getting back into the gym after getting hurt. Generations prior, we've always been told, oh, once you bust your rotator cuff, once you tear your ACL, that's it. Like you'll always be in pain. You'll always walk with a limp. You'll always have to baby your shoulder. We know now that that is not the case. And one of the most important things that they're teaching modern medicine and by extension physical therapists and athletic trainers and myself as a personal trainer is that you need to tell your people that they are going to go into it and they're going to, especially if they're fit and they're active, they're used to their body being at a certain level, if they suddenly feel like they can't do that, their life right now is in shambles. And you need to realize that. You need to be empathetic and you need to be encouraging to let them know that no, that is not the case. It might require a hell of a lot of work. I can't promise you it'll be easy, but I can tell you that chances are it is absolutely possible. And more than likely, it's probably easier than what you might at first have thought, especially if you're someone who's older, who, again, growing up has always just been around stories of, oh, he was used to be really fit, but now, he can barely push himself off of bed because he slipped while shoveling or something like that. The
Yeah.
human body is much more endurable. We just need to get the mind to realize it.
Yeah. It would be nice if they came out with, like, some laser technology, which they may have in, like, Taiwan or something like that, where, so my mom is a two-time stroke survivor, but her lifestyle, helped cause that with her. I wish there was, like, some laser technology that could just, like, zone in on a specific part of your body and just heal it, you know? Like with
No,
your brain or
absolutely.
your muscles, like torn tissues, arthritis. Because my like on my dad's side and me, have arthritis in our knees, and I'm double jointed, and I always knew I was, like, double jointed in my fingers, but I never realized until I see a chiropractor on a regular basis just for adjustments and stuff for standard, like, healthcare, self-care, and she's like, "Oh, you're double jointed in your knees too." The way and I was like, "How do you know that?" She's like, "The way you stand." She's like, "It puts a lot more wear and tear on your knees." I was like, "No one has ever told me that before." I had no idea. So it's just kinda crazy, but it'd be
Oh
nice
yeah,
if they had
absolutely.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
I've looked into like certain areas of science for stuff like that, and I will say the what's on the horizon is incredibly exciting, and even what we have access to now is very, very exciting. I'm trying to think of anything specific that recently. Um, there's like a handful of like compounds that I've come across. So back in the day, I got into bodybuilding, right? And while it wasn't until I turned 30 that I started to look into taking and getting prescribed, legally prescribed testosterone. But of course, early on, the idea of just injecting yourself or taking something and then blowing up like the Hulk was obviously very, very enticing. For me, not because I wanted to do it, but again, you're talking about unlocking the potential of the human body. And anything that helps you get that or even potentially get past what is genetically possible was incredible to me. So I ran down that rabbit hole. And I've seen now more and more people looking into like steroids and anabolics for recovery. Um, at the end of the day, what builds muscle helps repair muscle. And generally speaking, what promotes any tissue growth is going to help promote injury recovery and stuff like that. Ask yourself if you have someone who is, we'll say, 65 years old and has to go in for like a heart surgery, they cut you open. Do what they got to do, and then you're 65 years old. Even if you're active, leading up to that point, you're 65 years old with a giant hole in your chest. If we could potentially inject something, right, that has decades of research behind it in a safe way, obviously you need to compare, like risks and look at contraindications and stuff like that. But assuming all of that is in the green, isn't it morally right to at least offer such a substance to help just repair the tissue and stuff
for
like
sure.
that? And
Yeah.
I've anecdotally case studies. I know many bodybuilders that, let's just say, they're a little bit more gung ho than I am when it comes to what they
Okay.
experiment with. They've gone through injuries and stuff like that, and generally speaking, they bounce back so much quicker. Now, obviously, they have a lot going for them. They have uh, just literally a stronger foundation when they get hurt. One of my favorite sayings is fit people are harder to kill. It's a little bit morbid, but honestly, it's true. Like, fit people are able to handle so much more than people who otherwise are not.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, so they're able to bounce back so much more quickly, and their providers are always shocked. And it's just like, well, yeah, they're literally dedicating like everything that's going into their body to promote this recovery. And it's now that I guess you could say the taboo around such literature is going away. We're seeing more and more federally funded and AKA legal studies. And as that evidence begins to build, as we begin to improve in that area, it's very, very exciting.
Yeah. You would think like if the government was paying for more and more people's health insurance, they'd want to be able to definitely fund programs for people to be encouraged to work out, live a healthier life, have access to cleaner foods and stuff like that. So here's a question for you because you're a dietitian as well. Is that correct?
No, so
Oh,
my
okay.
degree ended at just the undergrads. I took a couple of studies in grad, and technically, I could even at the time gone for my registration as a dietitian by going into the internship. I decided not to, and that's an interesting story in and of its own. But long story short, I felt myself called to working inside the gym. I felt myself like, yeah, I can help. I've always wanted to help people. I just need to figure out how I can help people. And there was a very long time where I thought it was going to be I could help them through nutrition. But over the years, I just found, to be completely honest, I'm a much better personal trainer that deals with nutrition than someone who deals only with nutrition that can answer workout problem questions. Does that make sense? So I just felt called to stay
Yeah.
in the gym, so I decided not to continue on into grad school and continue on to to become a registered dietitian. I definitely have a lot of that background, but I do not have firsthand clinical experience, and I think that's very, very important.
Okay. So individuals that have opened themselves up, which a lot of us do nowadays, unless that's like your career, you're just completely obsessed with fitness. But for like everyday people like myself, who I do best when I'm working out with a trainer in person. It costs a little bit more, but I found that I'm the fittest when I do have that access. Also, I feel like there's just a lot more accountability with it than uh, I making up excuses and stuff like that why you can't go, or deal with personal anxieties and worrying that I'm going to do the wrong thing or not exactly what everything to do. And but with individuals who are, say, that are, over 35, between like 35 to 55, and they're wanting to get fit because I'm 51, and like my parents are in their mid 70s. They were not really into going to the gym, working out. This really came more popular during my generation, and really took off where it was important to go to a gym. You knew the strength of your body. And I definitely notice a big difference with myself when I'm working out on a regular basis. And then when I'm just starting over again, which sucks. But it's like getting that strength up, getting my breathing right, and not getting out of breath faster. And so that's one of the biggest things for me, is like having strong lungs and building up my core, because the core, I guess you would know, is the center to our body. But someone who is in like the 35 to 55 range and wants to start getting fit and are just getting started, maybe they're a little bit more overweight, maybe 20, 30 pounds overweight or whatever. What would you say is probably one of the top 3 tips that you would suggest for someone who's just getting started, may not be able to afford a personal trainer right then and there, but what are like some 3 top suggestions you would offer to someone so they can at least get on the road to good health?
Yeah. Well, the number one tip, of course, is to hire me. But assuming that you can't do that, right? Assuming that that's off the table, really, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, which is almost primarily mindset. Like you said, it's very easy to feel overwhelmed, nervous, scared going into the gym or going back into the gym. It's frustrating to feel like you're starting over, and it's humbling. Dare I say, even humiliating for some to go into the gym and suddenly realize that they're not 18, 20 years old again, and there's, of course, in most gyms, you're surrounded by 18, 20-year olds in their prime who are doing all sorts of weird stuff. And, it can be very, very, it's a huge, huge thing. So anyone who even contemplates going into the gym or starting their fitness journey, whether it's for the first time or for the 100th time, I really want to congratulate you. And I really want to stress just how impressive that is. So many people struggle with that and they don't overcome that. So, whether it's like your first step or your 1,000th step, you're doing a really good job. So, the number one mindset thing is to realize something is always better than nothing. Now, I am a weightlifter. The dumbbells and barbells and machines, that's my comfort zone.
Hmm.
And I'm a bodybuilder on top of that. So my preference for working out is definitely geared more traditional, dare I say, a meathead, right? I mean, look at the shirt I'm wearing. But what I really want to stress is if that's too much for you and you're not doing anything at all, that's okay. Like we've done studies, not me personally, but of course, but we have plenty of literature that shows that if you go from nothing to something as simple as 20 minutes of activity, literally activity, any activity, walking the dog, playing basketball, just walking a little extra when it comes to doing your groceries or parking further away when you're going to work, literally just walking, right? If you go from nothing to just walking 20 minutes 3 times a day or 3 times a week, your risk for health issues, right, over the rest of your life is severely decreased. It is incredible just how much going from nothing to something really is and just how beneficial that is. Now, if you're already active, right? So if, let's say you're already walking for roughly an hour every week. Remember, it's across a week, not a day. Then you will probably not see as useful of an impact if you increase it to walking 2 hours across the week. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So definitely you do, as you are more active, want to look into what type of activity your body needs. But the number one thing I really want to stress, if you're not doing anything, do something, because that is going to have a tremendous impact across everything from health risks to just general mental health to balance and coordination, everything, metabolism as well. So that's my number one piece of advice. Something is always better than nothing. All right. Number two, I would probably say that it is important to realize that your body does need certain types of activity. Now, for better or for worse, all right, one of the most common issues that everyone comes across in that age demographic, but especially women, is going to be loss of bone density, and then for both men and women, loss of lean tissue, which includes muscle, but also refers to everything that's not body fat, right? And the best thing, and arguably only thing that has a meaningful impact on bone density and lean tissue is going to be weight training in some form. Now, you don't have to be doing what I would do in the gym. You don't have to throw those big old plates on that heavy metal stick and then throw it over your head 1,000 times. You could do as simple as just picking up like a 1 or 2 pound dumbbell in like a group fitness class and then just start doing that. Over time, you will have to continue to challenge your body, but for the time being, remember something is always better than nothing. And when it comes to, those major uh, uh, areas of quote unquote mortality risk, loss of bone density, loss of lean tissue, the best things for that are going to be resistance training in some shape or form.
Mm.
Um, I will say as well that fitness classes are great for people who are starting out. I think it does an amazing job in terms of keeping people active and welcoming them into a community and giving you that support. I've taught many group fitness classes and I'm friends with many fitness instructors, but I will say that I believe the reality of the situation is that most fitness classes, outside of like people who've never worked out a day in their life before, fitness classes are not enough in the realm of resistance training. The weights
Mm.
that they do simply tend not to be heavy enough. For better or for worse, there is a minimum stimulus that the body requires in order for you to maintain and improve, lean mass and bone density and stuff like that. Again, you don't have to do what I do, but I will encourage you that if you are already active in, group fitness classes and things like that, or doing like P90X and stuff at home, if you're already doing that, if you're already on your Peloton and you're already pretty active, and then your doctor says, hey, like your bone density isn't where it should be, I would recommend looking into resistance training in the more traditional route. Nowadays, there's plenty of ways of doing that that aren't, again, picking up a heavy dumbbell and moving it 1,000 times. But that is an area that you would probably need to spend at least some time in. Just like how I would tell a bodybuilder that, listen, you got to do some cardio. Like, yeah, muscles are great, but the muscles aren't going to help you at all if that heart can't keep up with them. And every athlete knows the importance of flexibility and mobility, and something that I think most people in the gym can also benefit from a lot is the mindset that many yogis have when it comes to just taking a moment to pacify the mind a little bit, find a better way of kind of getting the body to work hand in hand. I guess you could say my second piece of advice is to realize that the body is the body. It's a whole thing. You have to feed and stimulate and help every aspect of it. That includes both the mind and the body. And within the body, the bones, the muscles, the joints, the flexibility and mobility, the heart, the whole 9 yards. So I would say that my second piece of advice would be to make sure you look at it from a holistic point of view. And that's something that I try to deliver to my clients as well, and it permeates everything that I talk about and teach my people. Um, as for my third piece of advice, uh, another mindset thing. At the end of the day, the best plan is worthless if you don't stick to it. So it's really, really easy.
Consistency is key, right?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Um, and remind me you said that, because there's another thing I want to talk about when it comes to consistency. But absolutely, like, it's easy for people to become obsessed with finding the best plan, and then number one, they get so overwhelmed with finding what the best plan actually is that they don't even get started, or they try to do what Arnold does or someone like me does. Um, and it's just so overwhelming. They try to change up their nutrition, their gym workout, everything. They change their entire life overnight. And the vast majority of people simply can't do that, especially if, you're 35 to 55, you have a career, you have a family, you have real life responsibilities. You can't just overhaul everything and expect it to just work without a hitch. Very few people are able to do that. So the best plan is the plan that you can stick to for long enough. And over time, you can add to that plan. Once you have that foundation, you can start building, everything else. But focus first and foremost on just simple, easy stuff that you can do for the long haul. And then over time, build that up. And to return to what you said earlier, Jacqueline, about consistency, one of the biggest things I like to teach people is that you need to look at life from a very large point of view. It's easy for people to think, oh, well, I worked out for 90 days in a row, but then I went away on vacation and then things came up. And now it's like 10 days after I got back and I haven't hit the gym. And like, oh, well, now I have to start all over again. No, you're not starting all over again. You're starting with 90 days of experience, right? Yeah, you might be a little bit weaker. You might be a little bit, out of that habit, that mental mind shift. You might still be in the beach. You won't want to be in the Zumba class, but you need to realize that if someone, like you cannot go to the gym for 30 days, right? But over the course of a year, if you are still in the gym for the rest of those days, you're still working out at like 87% success, or
Yeah.
some really high numbers. It's still like a B plus at the very least. So when it comes to feeling like you need to start over, when it comes to feeling like you've fallen off, you've only fallen off if you never go back. So long as you go back, you are staying consistent, no matter how long it might have been. And that's something that I think can go a long way towards alleviating some people's guilt about not doing what they're supposed to be doing, because there's
Yeah.
still every day is a new chance, I guess.
I feel like if someone is trying to find the perfect workout plan or the perfect plan trainer, or the perfect this or perfect that, that is just another form of procrastination and them not making a commitment to their health. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm sure there's going to be people listening that are going through that and really putting it off and not really making they haven't made that final decision yet, like, okay, this is something I need to do, because you just need to go out and do it like you were talking about. Just get out and start walking 20 minutes a day, and then you just go from there, because the better you feel, the more consistent you're going to want to be. Like, I know my self-confidence, I'm way less depressed when I'm like in the gym 3-4 days a week, working out on a regular
Absolutely.
basis and then walking. But I'll tell you, like, so I'd like to know what, like, maybe your top, like, when you're working out of the gym, like, what's your top three favorite workouts, or two? My favorite two, one is a group class, which is spin class, which I hyperextended my knee into years ago. And then it took me a long time to get the nerve to go back into spin class again, but I love it. And the other thing is planks. I really like planks. And when I was working out on a regular basis, like, I got my planks up to be for at least 2, 3, 4 minutes, and that I was able to do it for. But I don't know why it's so painful, but I just love it. Except for when my elbows are slipping from the sweat. That's about it. So those are probably my favorite top two. So what about yourself?
Yeah, so remember, I'm a meathead at heart. All right, so my favorite exercises would be number one. Number one would be the deadlift, right? So for those of you who don't know, the deadlift is picking something up off the ground. Literally, that's it. Now, the way that I do it is with the barbell. I do it conventional. Not that I have anything against sumo, but I do it conventionally, which it's a type of deadlift, and yeah, it has just been my favorite lift. It's something that I'm not even especially good at it. That's the ironic bit. Like, there are some people that generally speaking, we have the same background, and they blow my numbers out of the water, which is very humbling. But there's just something incredibly fun about just walking up to a lot of weight that's just sitting there, grabbing it, and then being able to pick it up. There's just something immensely freeing when it comes to that. As a personal trainer as well, I will say that the deadlift, despite some people's hesitancy, is actually an incredibly safe and beneficial exercise when done correctly. Correctly means, of course, with good form and proper loading, meaning not just super, super heavy, 1,000, 100% of the time, but assuming that form and programming is good, a deadlift probably nets you a ton of benefits for what you do. For every minute that you're doing a deadlift, you get a ton of benefits that many other exercises simply do not come with. My second favorite exercise is the bench press. The bench press is interesting because It is often used as a metric for strength and fitness and everything. It's definitely big in the gym world when it comes to bragging rights and stuff like that. Weirdly enough, my bench is actually very good. At my size, I can move 275 pounds, which I never
Wow.
thought was good until I like asked around, and people are like, "Oh, wow, that's actually a lot." Like, and it makes me feel good because I can talk about my bench press instead of my deadlift, which should be a lot better.
Yeah.
But I love the bench press, and what's ironic too is that the bench press is probably less beneficial compared to most exercises in terms of like how much time it takes to get good at the deadlift, or I'm sorry, how much time it takes to get good at the bench press, and what you get out of it compared to if you spent that time doing another exercise. The bench press, it does come with, I don't want to say more risk than any other exercise, but just because it tends to be an exercise that people are strong in, it tends to leave a lot of people with like shoulder stuff. Again, proper technique, proper programming, and listening to your body can mitigate that risk for any exercise, including the bench press. But I like it strictly because I like doing it. I don't have any of my clients do it unless they want to do it. I make all my people deadlift in some form or another because I think it's just a foundational movement that you need to do. But when it comes to like the bench press, I only have people do it if they like to do it. And I do it only because I like doing it. I don't think it's inherently better than any other chest press or upper body exercise. In terms of my third favorite exercise, I probably say the lat pull down. Um, the lat pull down, for those of you who don't know, it's the bar cable. Grab the bar, bring it down. That's it. Nice and simple and easy. Um, uh,
Yeah, I
a
like
lot of
that exercise too.
Yeah, exactly. So I like it for a few different reasons. Number one, it's a really good stretch after the deadlift, right? So a lot of my clients and myself at times have just grabbed hold of it, let it stretch me out, and I'm just sitting there, I'm just hanging there, and that's it. So I personally like it because I'm really good at it. And when I take videos of myself, I think I look good while I'm doing it. That's it. It's strictly hubris. It's a great exercise, don't get me wrong. Tons of benefits. Arguably, it's one of the least risky exercises because, like, worst case to happen, you let go and then the bar moves and you're just sitting there. That's it. It's incredibly useful for shoulder health. It can go a very long way towards improving your posture, low back pain, like everything. Right. And I don't want to say it's idiot proof because I've seen some people do it and I'm just like, that's a very inventive way of doing it. Um, but I will say it's very, very easy to do. Like just grab it and pull it down. Even if you're doing it quote unquote wrong, um, you're highly unlikely to hurt yourself. And you're still likely to get 80%, if not all, of the benefit from that exercise. Let me answer this question actually two ways. First, as me personally, the meathead, right? And then as a personal trainer. So I will say, so those are my three favorites personally: deadlift, bench press, lat pull down. In terms of a trainer, I would probably say the deadlift. All right. Now, not my deadlift. Their deadlift would be something a lot more simpler, like a kettlebell, and then it's in between the legs, and they just pick it up, and then that's it. That's all. Or with like maybe a Romanian deadlift instead, where they're not even picking it up off the ground, but they're still training the same muscles. It's also a little less intimidating than the word deadlift, So one of those exercises as a trainer would probably be my favorite exercise. My second favorite exercise would probably be um, this is a weird way of saying it. Well, actually, no. I'll say this one: the dead hang. The dead hang is exactly what it sounds like. You just hold on to something and then you just stay there. It is not so useful in terms of raw strength. But it's really, really good for deloading the body. So it works great for people who are just sitting all the time. It helps stretch things out. It's great for grip strength, which applies to everything in life. You can't do anything if you can't pick it up, right?
Yeah.
And
Or
it
if you're hanging off
is
the side of a cliff or something, you wanna be able to hold on.
exactly, exactly. You don't want to find out you can't do it in
Yeah.
times that you need to do it. But I would probably say the dead hang is probably one of my favorite exercises. I also prioritize exercises that are easy to learn. I don't like spending half our session time teaching an exercise because that's a lot of time we could be doing so many other things. And finally, I'd probably say the side plank is my third favorite exercise.
Oh gosh, that's
Um,
awful.
yeah, everyone does planks. A lot of people do
Yeah.
bridges, but not many people like to do side planks. And this is strictly anecdotal. I don't have any literature to support this or to refute this, but I will say that when people come to me and they say they have low back pain or hip pain or knee pain or even shoulder pain and they're moving weird, chances are their obliques, their core, and specifically their ability to hold that position of a side plank is not as good as we'd like it to be. And by working that exercise specifically, it tends to result in a relatively rapid improvement in a lot of their quality of life problems, if that makes sense. So don't get me wrong, it's not a cure all. It's not guaranteed to be your weak link or the weak link, but I guarantee I'll bet you a solid shiny penny that it's probably a weak link, and strengthening it is going to strengthen the rest of your body. Not to mention, I like making people do side planks because pull ups, chest press, push ups, squats, deadlifts, running, all of that stuff people like to do. I've never met anyone like doing side planks. I don't
Yeah,
like doing side planks, but I have to do side planks or else my hips stop talking to me. So I
got
like
you.
saying side planks is one of my favorite ones because it's something that if I don't make you do it, you're not going to do it. And if you're not doing
Yeah.
it, you're missing out on a lot.
Yeah. So I like the fact that you like to challenge um, the individuals that you are training and to helping them to become better at that because especially if they start to overcome those types of challenges and do it and are able to get great at it and get strong, it's going to build their self-confidence and it's going to affect other areas of their life. So, we have about 10 minutes left. So before we wrap up, have you found that because you work with a lot of professionals, so have you found that after you've someone has started working with you, so say like, like 3 months consistently, right? 6 months, a year consistently, that whether it's online or especially like in person or a combination of both, that you found that other areas of their life, like either their relationships or their businesses or anything like that, that started to grow and improve as well because their self-confidence went up or
Oh, 100%, 100%. And confidence is probably the best thing that I can give people. And probably the number one thing that I try to deliver without actually telling people that I'm going to deliver. There is nothing more satisfying than taking someone who feels unsure about themselves and showing them what they are physically capable of doing. Especially, not to stereotype, but especially older, smaller women who traditionally in their lives have always been told, oh, don't lift that, you're not strong enough, you're not capable of doing that. If I can get them to move 100 pounds, if I can show them that they can move 100 pounds and show them how easily they can move 100 pounds, a light switch goes off. And it's like they're seeing themselves in a completely different light. For the first time, there was this physical obstacle that they felt was insurmountable, and they can do it, and they can do it for reps. And we're only just getting started. And it breathes new life into them. And there are very, very few jobs, I think, that someone can in real time make someone more confident. And I'm internally grateful that my job happens to be one of them because it is so rewarding. And it is, that confidence, it bleeds into everything else in their life. When it comes to like improving their business, confidence closes That's it. If you're not confident in yourself, you're not confident in what you're presenting, no one's going to follow you. No one's going to believe in whatever you're
100%.
telling them, whether you're selling them or whether you're trying to lead them. No one's going to want to listen to you, and you're going to have to browbeat them into submission. And that, in and of itself, takes another different type of confidence. So, like, if you don't have that, you can get it inside the gym. And we've also seen as well that there is a improvement in just how your mind thinks. Your mindset shifts when you are more physically active. That's why, generally speaking, all of the top leaders in every industry, especially in the very, very beginning, they put a big priority on their health and fitness in some shape or form. Now, returning maybe to more realistic and practical examples, I will say this: a lot of my people have told me that their golf game has improved, and they've also told me that a lot of business gets discussed during golf. So I'm not saying that it's directly related, but I am saying that if you want someone to do what you want them to do, and you can show them just and the golf is and you do it in golf, like on the course, and when you're golfing, you're in your element, that definitely helps. So I'll leave you with that.
That's awesome. I've always admired women who can get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and read their devotionals or meditate or, whatever, and then go to the gym and then be to work by like 8 o'clock in the morning. So I am, ever since I was a child, I'm not a morning person. So, and then like if I do get up at like 6 or 5:30 in the morning, I'm tired by like 7 o'clock at night when I'm up working out early and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm ready for bed by this time. But so I think that's fantastic, especially if someone has that ability to be able to do that. But if I can go to the gym about 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm good. That's like a perfect time for me. And then getting my day started at that point. So, are you taking new online customers right now or for
I
training?
do. I do, and I am. I have a limited availability. I'm only able to take on maybe 3 or 5 people at the time, just because any more would eat into my ability to cater to the people that I already have. And this is also very important on my business side. I am not a personal trainer that wants to work with everyone. I'm not a personal trainer that can work with everyone. And I don't want to have a roster that's like 50 people long. I pride myself from the quality of service that I give to my people. I pride myself in my one-on-one connection with my people, even online. And that means that I simply can't work with a ton of people. But I also found that that works better anyways. I'd rather work
Of
with a
course. Yeah.
handful of people, and deliver quality service than uh, 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 be I guess you could say be like the Walmart of fitness, where everyone walks in, but then you walk out with Walmart quality fitness.
Yeah. No, you can't build big success like that unless you're Walmart. So, so where can people find you? Where can they get some more information and really learn about more about what you offer? I do have the links in there, but where would you suggest that they go first to really see what you have? And one other thing I just wanted to state is I love your quote, which says, "Fit for life, fit for you." Love that. So just
Thank
share
you.
with the
Thank you.
audience where they can get some more information on you, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, so I would love to connect with you all over the interwebs. You can find me on Facebook. Look me up on my personal Facebook. I don't have a I have a business one. You can do it that way, and you can reach out to me that way, which is just no personal training. But honestly, I take the personal bit of personal training very, very seriously. So you can just look me up as Nick Snow on Facebook. I'm decently well known in the online fitness world. So if you look up Nick Snow personal training or Nick Snow fitness, I should be relatively up there. Just look for the brown boy in Miami, and that's me. From there, you can also find me on Instagram, which would just be Snow Personal Training, as well as I have my own website, which is snowpersonaltraining.com. So you don't have to go too far to find me. It's not that complicated.
That's awesome. Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining me today on the You Are Love podcast. I do have an amazing co-host, Amy, it's hard for her to make it because she is a full-time mom as well. So thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. His links are in the description. And Nick, I hope you have an amazing day, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Everyone, thank you for coming on to another You Are Love podcast. You can definitely check Nick out and click on his description and get some more information. And then if you want any of our planners or journals for a better internal self and more organization, and you could schedule that fitness in, you can go to youareloved.store, youareloved.store, and snag your 18-month planner today. And we are doing starting in November, I think we are going to be doing a 1-hour mastermind with that. Okay, all included. Thank you and have an amazing day, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of You Are Loved. If you have any topic ideas or would like to be a guest on the show, please hit us up on Instagram at youareloved.store.